There's usually a conclusion statement that is a summary of all of the information above it. It would be these DNA results are approximately 1 trillion times more likely if Arielle Konig is the contributor than if.
This is where things start to feel less like speculation and more like something concrete. When you hear numbers like this in a courtroom, it's not just science, it's impact. Because juries don't remember formulas, they remember phrases like 1 trillion times more likely.
Than if one unknown individual is the contributor. So this provides very strong support for inclusion.
And that phrase, very strong support for inclusion, it sounds clinical, almost harmless, but in reality, it carries massive weight. This is the kind of language that can quietly decide someone's future without sounding dramatic at all.
Which sample are we talking about here?
So as you can observe from the top header, this would be also from the rock sample 2 of 2. It appears to be swabbing from an unstained area. And the unique identifier in this case would be 2105230A Q1.
Okay. Can you walk us through the assumed number of contributors?
So compared to the previous table, in this case, the assumed number of contributors is 2. So when we input the profile into StarMix, give the StarMix the mixture that we obtain, we tell it this is how many contributors we think were in the mixture. So it'll.
Now, this part might feel slow, even technical, but it's important because this is where the prosecution builds credibility. They're not just throwing accusations, they're showing the process, step by step, how the conclusion is reached.
That very top, that first row, so what that means is the DNA results are approximately 1 trillion times more likely if Arielle Konig and one unknown individual are the contributors and if 2 unknown.
Hearing that number again, 1 trillion, it's not a coincidence. Repetition like this reinforces a narrative. It tells the jury this isn't a one-off result. This is consistent.
Gerhardt Konig. And so kind of reading across, the DNA results are approximately 290 times more likely if Gerhardt Konig and one unknown individual contributed DNA than if 2 unknown individuals contributed DNA. This provides moderate support for inclusion.
But then something interesting happens. The second individual, Gerhardt Konig, doesn't have the same level of certainty. Moderate support is a completely different tone, and in a case like this, that difference matters more than it seems.
So the assumptions are the same, but for this, there's just one LR that was calculated, and the proposition for this is that the POIs, so Arielle and Gerhardt Konig, contributed DNA versus 2 unknown unrelated individuals contributed DNA. The results for this are, the DNA results are approximately 1 trillion times more likely if Arielle Konig and Gerhardt Konig are the contributors of the DNA than if 2 unknown unrelated individuals are the contributors of the DNA. This provides.
And now, this is where everything comes together, the group comparison. This is the moment where separate pieces of evidence are combined, and when that happens, the stakes get even higher.
LRs from the individual comparisons had different levels of support. We kind of caveat this statement to say that you have to consider that the individual LRs were different than each other in terms of the level of support.
1 trillion times more likely, again, but this time it's both names together. This is the kind of statement that can shift an entire case, because now it's no longer about individuals, it's about a shared presence.
This appears to be white with brown stripes t-shirt, sample 1 of 6, stain on the exterior right armpit. Is that Is that the correct?
Yes. And
Exhibit.
if you need the sticker, it's on the back of the paper
okay.
as well, as I refer to exhibits.
Thank you.
Thank you. Showing to Defense Counsel 143 before publishing.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Henderson, we're going to show you on the screen State's Exhibit 143. Okay. Now, as you said before, this is the white with brown striped T-shirt.
But listen carefully. Even here, the expert adds a caveat, a small warning, different levels of support. And that's important because it reminds us even strong evidence isn't always simple. And just as the courtroom absorbs all of this, we move to a new piece of evidence, a T-shirt, a stain. In moments like this are where cases often take a more personal, more emotional turn.